Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Far From Pro podcast. I am your host, Evan Walsh, and with me is my co-host, the man, the myth, the legend, Joseph Meyer. We are back with another episode this week, as we are every week. Back to it. Got a lot to talk about, a lot to discuss, so we're going to get right into it. Let's start off with our hot or nots. Joseph, give me your hot or not for the week.
I'm starting it off with Big Ten basketball. Evan, did you know that as of recording this, the team that was not favored, the underdog, has won every single match, every single game of the Big Ten tournament thus far, which obviously means it's the best tournament in college basketball other than the Big Dance. Big Ten tournament, absolutely electric. Did Minnesota, the 8-win Minnesota, defeat my Nebraska Cornhuskers last night? Yes. Was it one of the worst games I've ever watched? Also, yes. Was it incredibly Big Ten basketball-like? Absolutely. Ohio State's going on a tear. They just beat the Iowa Hawkeyes. Michigan lost today. Perfect. Great. Love it. So, Big Ten basketball, electric. It's March, and the upsets are already starting to roll in. Wouldn't be surprised if we keep getting these all the way until we hit the actual NCAA tournament.
Yeah, I mean, Joseph, we talked about it before. When March rolls around, we all know what happens. This is what happens. It's college basketball. Anything can happen, and the upsets start rolling in. And unfortunately for the Big Ten, it's hitting the Big Ten very hard this year. Joseph's having a hard time. His Nebraska Cornhuskers lost. His second team, technically the Michigan Wolverines, they lost. He's having a hard day. All right. To be quite frank with you, Joseph. No, I know. I mean, in some of these days, you're going to have them in sports. And these are the reasons why we're sports fans, because we go through these hard days where our teams lose for the win, and then we celebrate them so much when they win. So right now, Joseph, I understand
the my teams don't ever win. My teams don't ever win. So.
Well, yeah, but that's neither here nor there, Joseph. We don't need to get into all that. What we need to get into, okay, is my not. Because I got a not.
Oh, it's
and my not, I don't even think really. I think this just needs to be brought up, and I think both of us can say it's a not. It's Ja Morant. Look, I can't even really say it
didn't get worse. It didn't get any better from last week.
No, it didn't.
From last week.
And to be honest with you, I'm trying to say this without without a smile on my face, but man, what an idiot. You know what I mean? It's just like you're at a point in your life where you're going to make $230 million contract. You have God knows how much other money in sponsorships. You have the fame. You have the glory. I mean, you made it. You did everything you needed to do to get out of that position that you were once in. And he's like, it's like he drags himself back in, and he's hanging out with the wrong people. And it's like everyone, at a certain point for me, it's like, we just need to hold these players more accountable for their actions. The way he's acting is absolutely ridiculous. And to me, it's like we give them too much leeway for who they are. The fact that you have all this, any person on this earth would give what you have and would not act like that. They wouldn't throw it away. Like, there's so many people that would maybe not deserve it, but like if they were given that opportunity to have what you have, they wouldn't throw it away like you are. And to me, it's frustrating because there's a lot of people like that. And, it's just being unself-aware. And I just think we need to hold people at someone like Ja Morant, a very high-value athlete. We need to hold them to a higher standard. And I think that he needs to be punished, for sure. There needs to be consequences for his actions. But do I know the severity of it? No. Is that my job to say it? No. But I do think he needs to get something. And if he doesn't, then shame on the Memphis Grizzlies and shame on the NBA. Shame on the NBA.
Yeah, it was so bad because last week we were having this conversation, Evan, where we were flaming him a little bit for, pulling a 9 on a 17-year-old at the playoff street ball. And then 4 days later, he's on Instagram Live flashing a gun. It's just not, his agent, Ja Morant's agent, is got to be an absolute shambles because that's a PR nightmare. He probably told him, whatever you do not get on Instagram Live.
His PR team just wakes up.
Do not get on Instagram Live.
Oh my God! I can't even believe what they have to do.
They better get a raise after all this. But dude, you go on Instagram Live. First of all, you shouldn't even do that right now. The tensions are too high. Pulling out a gun on Instagram Live. We still don't know really where it was. Thankfully, it wasn't on the team playing because That would be really bad, but he's going to be away from the team. Yeah, just a mess of a situation that the Grizzlies did not expect to be in at this point.
Yeah,
I got a nod. It's a little bit related.
yeah. Let me hear your
Go
nod,
ahead.
Joseph. Talk to me.
All right. I don't know if you. I'm not a huge fan of the esteemed television First Take on ESPN at 9 a.m. But this week there was a little bit of a debate about the credit of the MVP voters, and we don't have to get into it. It was specifically what the argument was, but pretty much it was saying that the only reason Jokic is going to win his third MVP in a row is because he's white. Now, even if that were true, Evan, even if that were true, which it's not because the dude is an absolute baller, and you think that man cares anything about his race or who he is as a person, all that man cares about is basketball and destroying people who get in his way. Doesn't matter who they are. He comes from overseas, as this European guy that is just cooking up Americans every single day. And even if that were true, Kendrick Perkins went off this week. And usually when you're winning an argument, you don't scream at the other person. Now, I've done a lot of screaming when I'm losing an argument. I don't know about you, but usually when I'm winning an argument, I'm not screaming at the other person and discounting everything they have to say. So not a great look for ESPN, not a great look for First Take, but really not a good look for Kendrick Perkins because today ESPN issues public apology after Kendrick Perkins claimed MVP voters were predominantly white. Now, when ESPN has to apologize for one of its head pundits on its main show in the morning, not a great look. He claimed that over, I think it was 90% of the voters were white, and ESPN said that is not true. So even if Jokic was only winning MVP because he was white, which is a ludicrous statement, you can debate on his level of basketball skills if other guys should have deserved it, if Chris Paul should have deserved it a year ago, Giannis or Embiid. But you can debate on the basketball side of things. But to go ahead and claim that he only wins it because of his race is just kind of ludicrous to me. Not a good look for Kendrick Perkins. JJ Redick, who knows if we'll ever see him on ESPN again. I don't know. They might banish him to First Things First or something like that. But yes, it was not a great time for Kendrick Perkins. What do you think, Evan?
Yeah, I honestly think it should be a hot for JJ Redick. JJ Redick should be a hot. He handled him perfectly. He pulled out the facts. He pulled out the numbers. He made Kendrick Perkins look foolish. He put Kendrick Perkins in a situation where he got called out for what he said, which was complete bullcrap and made no sense. And JJ Redick should be a hot for both of us. He did a phenomenal job with handling that situation. He did an even better job making sure that people understood that it's not what Kendrick Perkins said was not true. He had no facts about what he said. He said, I don't know why he said it. I don't know what he was trying to do there. Terrible, racist, horrible thing to say to come out of that guy's mouth. It was not appropriate, and it's sad that ESPN had to speak on his behalf and apologize for him instead of him having to do it himself. I know that's a whole other thing. I'm not going to get into it. It's a great nod, Joseph. I was kind of going to move in from John Moran into this, but we kind of got into this topic. But to go into a little NBA talk, I was looking at the NBA standings here, Joseph, and you tell me how crazy this is. Right now, in the Western Conference, the second-place team in the third is technically tied between the Grizzlies and the Kings. That would be a 6th seed in the Eastern Conference. They would be a 6th seed because the 5th seed is the Knicks with 39 wins and 28 losses. So, to me, I mean, I don't want to talk too much NBA because we talk NBA a lot, but I do want to say, the Western Conference has been a complete disappointment this year. I mean, when you look at the Pelicans, I think people had a ton of high expectations for the Pelicans, and they just simply did not deliver, did not play up to expectations this year. I know Zion's been out a lot. I get that. But, they're the 10th seed right now with 32 wins, tied with the Lakers, who also had high expectations, who we always seem to think they're going to do well year in and year out, and they don't. Mavericks are an 8 seed. Now, I would like to say that seeds 5 through 8 right now, and that's the Warriors, Clippers, Timberwolves, and Mavericks all have 34 wins. I mean, Clippers have 35, but are all basically tied in that spot. Lakers and Pelicans have 32 wins for the 9 and 10 seed, which are playing teams. But like, so they all are very close. I mean, Grizzlies only have 38 wins. It's not far ahead. Like, and there's 2. Like, I do get that, but I think the West was very disappointing this year when compared to the East, who had some unbelievable teams show up and show out, like the Cavaliers, the Knicks. I think the Sixers are playing just like we thought they were going to be the 3 seed right now, 43 wins. Playing unbelievable, and they played up their expectations with Embiid and Harden. They're going to go into the playoffs, a top 4 team, and then the Celtics and Bucks played up to their expectations too. And then if you look at just like, I think if you just look at the whole conference and what it is and all, look at the Nets. The Nets even lost Kyrie and they lost KD and they lost Harden and they basically dismantled their whole team. They're still a 6 seed with 37 wins. So to me, it's like, the Heat are still 7 seed. The Hawks are a good team, and they're the 8 seed. Like, the East is way more loaded than the West right now. I think the West didn't live up to expectations, but I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's how I see it.
That's an interesting way to put it. See, I mean, it's a possibility. I think it's more just that the West has so much talent that somebody's got to win these games. We're going to have a 13 seed in the West that could win 40 games. Like, the talent is so, like, somebody's going to get a top 10 pick in the draft and have, well, I don't know about top 10 based on the East, but they could have the third best, after the Rockets and Spurs, the third worst team in the West could have like 40 wins. It's kind of insane. The Jazz are in there right now with 31 wins. So the Jazz are 7 games away from being the 2 seed, which is crazy. Obviously, the Nuggets are running away with the West, and they will continue to do so. Yeah, when your best player is averaging a triple double, probably that's how it's going to work.
Oopsie.
But I will say you're right. The West, you don't feel like there's that many teams coming out of the West that can win the title. Suns are an interesting one. Now that KD could be injured, and we can dive into this, could be injured the rest of the regular season. They'll be fine. They're still going to be one of the top seeds in the West. But him coming off an injury, we've seen him injured before in the playoffs. I feel less confident about their ability. As much as I believe in the Nuggets, we haven't seen them make really a run before, so it's kind of the Wild West out there. The East, I feel much better about the top teams. Those 4 are probably going to battle it out, and whoever comes out is going to be pretty battle-tested going against kind of a middling West, I would say. There's a lot of talent, but it's kind of spread out. So, whereas the East is all at the top. I like that take. It's a little bit of a hot one, but I'll roll with it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's just how I'm looking at it. But then again, though, I've been trying to spread my sports around. I haven't been getting tuned into the NBA. This is kind of that phase where everyone's just battling out. I really lock in more when they're like towards their last 5-6 games when everyone's trying to figure out their playoff seeding. Also trying to give my attention to college basketball. But for now, kind of move into more kind of a whole different sport here, kind of transfer just so we can get everything in and try and get in this time frame here. Let's move into golf a little bit. I know, Joseph, you're not a big golfer. I love golf. I watch golf all the time. And I wanted to talk about 2 tournaments. Last weekend, the Arnold Palmer Invitational, a huge tournament. Kurt Kitayama with the first place win. So if you don't know anything about Kurt Kitayama has played on about every single professional tour that you can think of. This guy has been all over the place. He's gone through his ups and his downs. He kind of turned pro a little bit later. We got his PGA Tour wins a little bit later. This is by far his biggest win of his career, and by far it is going to cement him to give his PGA Tour card at least a temporary one for a long time. This was an awesome win for him. And actually, his last 2 rounds, he only really went even par. It was his first 2 where he went in 5 under and 4 under, where he just completely dominated. And I'm so happy for the guy. I love that tournament also because not only is it a classic, it's a very popular tournament, but everyone plays in it. And if you look at the field, for a guy like me and a guy, if you're a very well-known golf fan, and just these names that were in the field, second place was Rory McIlroy, third place was Harris English, fourth, Scotty Scheffler, Patrick Cantlay, Jordan Spieth, Cameron Young, Keegan Bradley, Jason Day, Victor Hovland, Max Homa, these big names that are playing in that's just the top 10 right there. Just those names alone, I think golf is heading in the right direction. And to have this tournament to lead us right into the next tournament, which is the Players' Championship, which, Joseph, again, if you don't know too much about golf, this is a huge tournament in the PGA Tour world. This is only players on the PGA Tour, no amateurs allowed, 156 players, so it's a very, very big field. It's only PGA Tour players, though. So this really right here is a very, very huge tournament played at TPC Sawgrass, which is, if you don't know, one of the most iconic and classic courses. One of the most iconic holes, hole 17, which is that par 3, which is just that little island hole right in the water, which I'm sure if you've seen it, you know what it is. Huge tournament, and there was a lot of debate about the live players being able to come back and play, and they didn't, and all this stuff. But right now, it's a huge field. It's super fun to watch. As right now, if we're looking at today, which was the first round, if we check at the Players Championship leaderboard after the first round of the day, in first place as of right now, it's Chad Ramey with fifth. He's 8 under in the first round, which is crazy. Second place is Colin Morikawa with 7 under. Everyone else is in the 5 under, 4 under, 3 under stage. So to me, I'm gonna be honest. If I'm looking at this field right now, if I had to pick a winner right now, I think I'm gonna go Jordan Spieth. I think Jordan Spieth has been well due for a very big win. I think Jordan Spieth has been playing amazing golf in these past couple weeks, and I think he's coming for blood this week, and I think he wants to show that he still is a dominant player on tour. He's right there with the best. So I think Jordan Spieth's gonna come back. He is 3 under round right now, 5 under from the first. But hey, you still got 3 more rounds, and I don't see why Jordan Spieth easily can't come in and make some noise.
All right, I like it. I'll throw a dart. I'll go. Let's see here. I'll throw Scotty Scheffler out there. He's looking pretty good right now.
Scotty Scheffler.
That's my darts on the board.
That's your shot in the dark. Hey, no, it's not a bad pick. Scotty Scheffler's he's a stud. He's been playing unbelievable lately, so it's not a bad pick at all. It's a good pick, and we'll keep that updated and see how they do. Come Sunday. Hopefully our picks are at least semi-close, but you never know. Golf is a sort of a shot in the dark, so it is what it is. Let's move into some combine talk, huh? NFL Combine is officially done. Yes. Everyone's got their numbers in. Joseph, what are some surprises and some names that kind of shocked your world over the Combine? Any names that you want to talk about?
The obvious story is Anthony Richardson. I can't get on board with this idea that the couple days they're at the Combine shoots up your draft stock after we've seen Bryce Young and CJ Stroud cook defenses for 3 years, or I guess 2 years. For me, yes, it's a talent thing. I've seen a lot of comparisons to Josh Allen and Justin Herbert where they're raw talent and just need a little bit of coaching, I guess, but I just feel like those two guys were much more polished, especially Herbert coming out of college. Herbert led a team to a Rose Bowl championship, and I don't know about you, but I really haven't ever Richardson didn't make any noise in the SEC, and if I'm going to draft a quarterback in the first round, I want him to be making noise on their team. I even saw Patrick Mahomes was a project. Yeah, but he was cooking defenses in the Big 12. Yes, everybody cooks defenses in the Big 12, but he was doing this kind of stuff since high school and college, if you go back and look at the tape. So I think Anthony Richardson could be a nice project, but I've seen people mocking him Seahawks at 5, which I think is ridiculous. So that whole story, we've seen guys Cam Newton. He had the best combine for a quarterback ever, right? We've seen guys like Cam Newton and Marcus Mariota, but there's a bunch of other guys that just didn't pan out or didn't even get drafted that had incredible athletic performances. At the end of the day, it's not about your athletic ability. Lamar Jackson's one of the most gifted athletes I've ever seen. Kyler Murray's an incredible athlete. Those two guys right now, they're not even being questioned for the greatest quarterbacks in the league, and those guys are much better passers than Anthony Richardson. So I'm not buying into the whole Anthony Richardson hype. What do you think? Do you think we can draft a guy based on what he does just at the Combine?
No, absolutely not. I completely agree with you. I think a lot of people do get caught up in the Combine numbers. And a big one is what you're just talking about, Anthony Richardson. He had a phenomenal Combine, super fast 40, jumped out of the building. His broad jump was crazy. His vertical leap was crazy. He looked good throwing. And the same thing, but at the end of the day, I think what a lot of people do is they get caught up in these combine numbers and where they are now. But I think you said it best is like football is a lot more than what you can do off the field, how your numbers look. It is about a lot about what type of leader are you? What type of person are you that can lead these football team to winning games? And like if you like you said, C.J. Stroud has won big games and have gone into big and led his team into a lot of different big scenarios. You got Bryce Young, who has played for Alabama and has done God knows how many things. Won the Heisman. I mean, I do understand the hype around Anthony Richardson. To me, he is a freak athlete. He looks like a complete playmaker, a complete stud. I do understand that. I'm not saying he's going to be bad, but I'm saying he did kind of come up out of nowhere, considering the fact he hadn't really done much in the SEC, didn't do much for Florida Gators, didn't really win too many big games or nothing. It was sort of a pop-up out of nowhere. I do see where these prospects – I see what they see about him, but at the end of the day, it's like you have to watch what's on the tape and see what it is. And there's a lot of quarterbacks that have accomplished so many different things and won so many conference titles, championships, bowl games, and Anthony Richardson hasn't done that. And, I think at the end of the day, that's way more important than whatever you can see at a combine or whatever you can go see him doing on a field without pads and without a team. So – I completely agree with you. Wherever he goes, I'm happy for him. I wish him nothing but the best, but I completely agree. To me, the combine, I think they do need to change it. I do. I think that who cares, especially with linemen. I don't think it matters how fast your 40 is, how high you can jump. I think what matters is on the tape.
Yeah.
And I just think they should change things. I really do. I think they should change how they do the combine. I think they should be a lot more live action game things, getting the pads on for the linemen, seeing them going one-on-ones against each other, wide receivers and D-backs, seeing them maybe go one-on-one, seeing them actually play in live games so that we can get film of them actually playing, not them doing drills, not them doing live one-on-O's, no one's watching. It just doesn't correlate to anything. It doesn't not able for you to see anything. I understand you can see how athletic someone is, but again, you're just because of how athletic you are does not mean how good of a football player you are. And I think with actual tape and playing in games, going live against each other, it shows a lot more. I really do.
And guys, an offensive lineman getting injured, running the 40, what are we doing? There's no time when an offensive lineman, unless they're tracking down a fumble for a touchdown, that he would need to go and catch a guy 40 yards down the field. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Now I get the hype around it. It's an event. It's a moneymaker. It's a big event. The NFL can slot this right in their off season and kind of draw up some hype. But not many people are watching the combine anyway. I mean, it's thrown away on NFL Network, and it's kind of just something you see on Instagram or Twitter, and you're like, oh, that guy did something cool. Well, all these guys are doing cool stuff. We've been seeing Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud doing cool stuff for 2 years. I just don't love this idea, and I think this is just a bigger thing with me. Maybe it's just because I'm such a big college football guy, because I love college football and I love the sport. I hate when the transition to NFL is all of a sudden, oh, he did it in college, but he won't be able to do it in the NFL. In today's day and age, these guys are getting coached by professionals. If they're the top guys, they're getting coached by professionals since they were 15 years old. And to assume that the jump from college to NFL is so massive that these guys who balled out against college guys aren't going to be able to translate to the NFL. I get it. There's a development aspect. You're growing up. You're playing against much better talent. But the development time is there. You look back at Jalen Hurts. Why was Jalen Hurts a second-round pick? I mean, the dude had everything. He had the athleticism, the strength, the mobile quarterback. He had the vision. He was a leader of men, just an all-around great quarterback. Look where it's got him. Look where it's got the Eagles, because they took a risk on him. No reason that man should have been a second-round guy. Lamar Jackson, why was he was so good in college? Why was he barely a first-round pick? He was the last pick in the first round. I'm kind of tired of this whole idea, and it is going away. It's a lot better than it used to be. This idea that just because they were in college, they're not going to be able to translate to the NFL. So, again, with Anthony Richardson, there's so many SEC guys that are able to compete in the SEC with NFL defensive talent they're going against. Like, Bryce Young cooked the best defense of all time. One, if not the best defense, the most NFL talent on a single defense last year, he cooked in the SEC championship. To say that oh yeah, he's small, whatever. Anthony Richardson's this big, fast guy. Yes, I get it, but the football is something else. Tom Brady had one of the worst combines of all time, and we know how that worked out. So we're going to get into kind of the draft as it comes around here. I'm a huge CJ Stroud fan. Watching him, even though my Michigan Wolverines beat him twice, I'm a huge CJ Stroud guy. He has done stuff that I've never seen an Ohio State quarterback do. And that's saying a lot because I've watched a lot of Ohio State quarterbacks absolutely cook my Michigan Wolverines. So I'm a huge CJ Stroud guy. We'll get into that later. But overall, combine, cool, it happened. Just not a lot to take away from, in my opinion, other than these lower level guys where you're like, should we take a risk on him? We haven't seen a lot of the tape. Now he wows us in the combine. For instance, the former Nebraska wide receiver, Trey Palmer, I've been watching him cook defenses all season. All of a sudden, he runs the fastest wide receiver time for a fastest 40 time for a wide receiver. So then it's like, oh, he's on the map. He's actually really fast. Well, if you've been watching Nebraska, you've been seeing him be an incredibly fast athlete. So I think it's more of a wake-up call for some of these later round guys where it's like, oh, he actually is that good. It's not just because he's playing against inferior opponents. That is where the combine is beneficial. But for the average viewer, that doesn't matter. We're not scouts. So to try to push this narrative of Anthony Richardson, he's going to be a top 10 pick, not a huge fan of that.
100%. You see, you hit everything on the nail. Everything I was going to say, you said it perfectly. Just, little extra news before we end the pod. I got two things. One, congratulations to Jim Boeheim on a great career. He retired from Syracuse. Get a round of applause, Joseph. 47, I think it was 47 years as a coach. As we all know, the
Weird,
king
dude.
of the 2-3 zone. It is weird. He's been the coach there my whole life. All I've ever known is the 2-3 zone coming from Syracuse. The way he executed it, he won that national championship in 2003 with Melo. The guy is a phenomenal basketball coach. He stepped away after 47 years at Syracuse, dominating, doing unspeakable, unbelievable things as a coach. And, it's sad. It's a sad day to see him go, but I'm happy for his career. Congratulations, Mr. Boeheim. Your sons are still playing, so hopefully I can see news about them here and there pop up and think about you. But congratulations. And a little bit away from the college basketball news, NFL news. I noticed this like about 2 hours ago, but I just want to talk about it. They are saying Matthew Stafford is going to get traded from the Rams. They are looking to trade him and get rid of him. That's what the Rams are looking to do, looking to get rid of Matthew Stafford. Couple different destinations here I'm looking at, but the biggest one that seems to come up the most is the Washington Commanders. As we know, they did release their quarterback Carson Wentz. Still have Taylor Heineke on contract.
Gross.
However, I think with Matthew Stafford on the Commanders, with Terry McLaurin, with Curtis Samuel, with that roster, Antonio Gibson in the backfield, I think they could be a pretty freaking solid team, Joseph. Just want to throw that out there. I would actually love to see him on the Commanders. I don't know if you would or not. I know you kind of just got this news.
I completely disagree.
Really? Where would you like to see him play? I'm sure there's other destinations out there. I'm sure the New York Jets are going to be a team that's looking. But, I mean, Matthew Stafford, that's crazy.
Yeah, for Washington specifically, I want to see what Sam Howell can do. He looked really good in Week 17. I know it was Week 17, but he looked like a veteran in there, and they hadn't had anything like that all year. So I don't think I see Matthew Stafford for me is a team like maybe the Jets, like that has a really good roster. I guess you could make that argument with the Commanders, but I don't think they're there yet. Matthew Stafford's such a weird one because it's like he's not quite good enough to go all in for.
Hold on. So this article I'm reading right here by The Spun that was written 2 hours ago. It is reported by NFL executive Michael Lombardi that Rams quarterbacks on the trade market. He said on the Pat McAfee show that his exact words were, Matt Stafford is fully available. They would love to trade him, but they can't easily do it because he's got $57 million guaranteed, but they're trying to get out from it. They've called teams. I know this. On Thursday afternoon.
It's a tough contract.
Well, on the Thursday afternoon, though, but then I read this. It says, on Thursday afternoon, Rams general manager Les Snead poured cold water on this rumor. He said that Stafford will be back for the 2023 season. We're going...
Well, of course, he's going to say that.
Well, his quote was, we're going to definitely rely on Matthew. He's definitely one of our pillars, Snead said. He's definitely someone we're going to rely on as we remodel this.
Yeah, I mean he's
Okay,
got to do
so
that, but
yeah, true. Maybe I was
it's
wrong about
just
the
such
Rams,
a
but it's I don't know. It's a weird thing. It's
like
so
our
weird to talk about like Matthew Stafford. Like I always just see him as a Lion. Maybe he just needs to go back to the Detroit Lions. Maybe they should just flip flop Goff again. They're like, you know what? He got his Super Bowl. Let's just send him back to Detroit. You know, just flip
no,
flop. Detroit's doing well now.
yeah.
Maybe if they got Matthew Stafford back, who knows?
Matthew Stafford's such a weird thing because like you can't go all in like you could for maybe a Lamar Jackson or Aaron Rodgers in this trade. Like he's more of like a Derek Carr type where I don't really want to go all in for a guy, which man, that's tough because the Rams like your window is closed. I don't think anybody thinks the Rams are really going to be a Super Bowl contender anytime soon. Now, they could certainly make the playoffs and make kind of a push if Cup stays healthy. But he's just one of those guys. It's like, yes, he's a really good quarterback, but it seems like the window has closed, especially with all the injuries. I am not putting any capital into getting Matthew Stafford if I'm a team that's looking for a quarterback that's a piece away. Now, there are guys I would go all in for Aaron Rodgers or Lamar Jackson. Now, I know me and you are not big fans of Aaron Rodgers, but I think for a team like the Jets, that's has a really good roster but just has horrible quarterback play, that could really put them over the edge and bring them back to competing. Lamar Jackson, I love Lamar. I have no idea why the Ravens are even risking losing him. But let's talk about Derek Carr because we can kind of get into this too. What are your thoughts on the trade to or I guess not trade, the signing with the Saints? I'm not a huge fan because I don't think the Saints are a Super Bowl ready team, and you can't be pouring all that kind of money into a quarterback that's never actually won a playoff game. The Raiders have won a playoff game while he's been there. He has never won an actual playoff game. I'm not a huge fan of a team that's already over the cap going all in on a Derek Carr type player when you're really not even a playoff roster at this point. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm not going to say too much until I see it happen. Until I see Derek Carr play with this team. Who knows how they're going to play? If they re-sign Michael Thomas, get him the weapons, get him Alvin Kamara in the
Fair.
backfield, get him a solid O-line, a solid D-line. I can't. I'm not going to say anything bad. I'm not because we say it's bad to give him
Okay.
all this money, but then what if Derek Carr goes in there and has an MVP like season and dominates? We don't know. If
Do
Derek
you
Carr,
believe that? Do you believe that that's going to
I
happen?
don't,
Because I
I don't,
certainly don't.
I,
I've seen,
I don't believe it's going to happen. No,
dude,
I don't believe that's the case.
the roster, the Raiders roster this year. Talk about rosters. I mean, he had a lot of weapons. Now I know there were injuries and the offensive line isn't good, but the defense isn't horrible, and he had some weapons, and they couldn't even make the playoffs. So to say that he's going to go over to the Saints, who kind of are in over their heads with signing guys, Alvin Kamara situation, we don't know what's going
To
to
be
happen with
to be
that.
fair
Michael
though,
Thomas, is he?
to be fair, like it's like you gotta think of it like this: like he is also playing in the AFC West, where you got to deal with the Chargers, Broncos, and Chiefs. That's one. Two, he's in the
Yeah.
AFC, which is the hardest division compared to the NFC. He's going to be going over to the NFC, which is way easier to play with. He's going to be playing in a division that's going to be way worse. He's going from the AFC West to literally the worst division in football with the Panthers, the
No,
Bucks,
yeah.
and the Falcons. I mean, come on.
They should be the favorite to win the division, no doubt. But that division could be won at 7-9. Like we've seen that happen. I would rather not win my division and get bounced in the first round than be kind of rebuilding. I think the Saints need to rebuild. I don't think Derek Carr is the right piece. Now, if they go out and draft a project quarterback and sit him behind Derek Carr's a great guy, great leader, would be an absolutely great mentor for a young quarterback. I just don't love it. And the injury thing, too, it's like they kind of did Jameis dirty. Like, they really did Jameis Winston dirty. I'm not a huge fan of that. You know, he had kind of given his all to the Saints and a couple injuries, and he's out of town. So I'm not sold on the Derek Carr thing. They could certainly well win the division, and I probably would pick them to at this point, given who the other quarterbacks in the division are. But that's not the ultimate goal, right? The ultimate goal is not to win the division. It's to win a championship. This is why Sean Payton didn't want to stay around with the Saints. Like we often talk about how oh, Sean Payton really wanted to be done. No, he's a young guy. He still wanted to coach. He tested out the media and he realized that's not really for me. But if he had the kind of, it's a good organization, but he knew he had no chance to win a Super Bowl after Drew Brees retired. He just knew that there was no chance given the cap situation and given the team construction. So Sean Payton's like, I'm going to go to a team where I think I can win a Super Bowl, which is the Broncos. I disagree with him there. I know you would agree with him. I'm just not a big. I like Derek Carr as a guy. I think he's a great middle of the road quarterback. Not a guy I'm going all in on when I should be rebuilding. That's my thoughts.
No, I mean they're good thoughts, Joseph, and I like the way you're thinking. And you're not you could be not wrong, and that's why I'm trying not to pick a side. You could be right, could be wrong. I don't have a thought on this because anything can happen, and I don't want to put my numbers out there. I love Derek Carr. I love everything he's done. I think he's a great guy. My favorite, when I really fell in love with him, was the way he handled himself with the Henry Ruggs situation. That was a true leader.
Absolutely.
He was truly there for his teammate. That was unbelievable. And to this day, I will have utter respect for Derek Carr for what he did.
Yeah.
And
He's
he's
a
never
great
really
guy.
done anything
Great
effed up.
dude.
He's a great dude. He's never been a bad guy. He's never said anything stupid. He's never never done anything bad. He's never been like portrayed as a bad dude. I've always been thinking he's a great guy, so I want to wish him nothing but success. But Joseph, do you have anything else that you want to talk about? Any other sports? Anything? I got nothing. I tried bringing up what I could. I'm trying not to bring up too many things. I'm trying to spread it out. We also have a next week's episode.
I think
so.
True. I think we should talk just about Lamar and what your thoughts are on that situation. Because, like I've said, I'm a huge Lamar guy. I think the Ravens would be silly to let him go. But at the end of the day, the injury thing is a problem. I just don't see why they won't commit to their guy. They were seemingly more willing to commit to Joe Flacco than Lamar. Now, yes, Joe Flacco is a Super Bowl winning quarterback, but Lamar is by far the better talent. I don't know. It just seems suspect to me. It seems like they're a team that should be going in all in on a quarterback, and they're kind of like, I don't want to go too far into this. It's an interesting situation to say the least. If I am the Jets, I am calling the phone. I am matching whatever offer they give because Lamar Jackson in another jersey could be really dangerous. The Ravens have not given him a single weapon, dude. Like, he doesn't have any weapons. He's never had any weapons. I know there's some guys they've tried. It just hasn't been successful. I want to see what Lamar Jackson can do with an A-plus wide receiver, or at least like a B-plus wide receiver, which I think the Jets have a couple of those right now. So I think the Jets should be calling his name. I think the Jets are a playoff roster now, and with Lamar Jackson at the helm, could be incredibly good with a great defense. Do you think? What do you think? Do you think the Ravens are in the right here for not signing Lamar?
I don't. It's so hard to say. God, it's another one of those situations, Joseph. I'm trying to give an answer, but I don't want to say anything. I do like Lamar, and I think he's shown he's won an MVP. I think he's shown he can be a real stud in the NFL. I just think it's hard because you got to think like this. Lamar's representing himself. So that means when Lamar goes and he talks to his team, here's another reason why I don't like it. When Lamar goes and talks to his team about numbers and about why you should get this and why you get that, that means that all the executives of the team, the entire front office of the Baltimore Ravens, are telling Lamar reasons why they shouldn't give him this amount of money. So when you're Lamar and you yourself are not only hearing about why you should get money, you're hearing why you shouldn't get money from your high-up executives, it hurts and it builds a bad relationship. Mm-hmm. So let's say he does get his money. Let's say he even gets paid or whatever. At the end of the day, he still heard what he heard and had to go through what he had to go through just to get this money. And like you said, the fact that they haven't paid him right now with the money he's wanted should just show Lamar, well, I'm really not that wanted here. I may be wanted. We all want Aaron Rodgers. We all want Tom Brady. But it's do we want to pay $50 million to have him here? I don't know. So it's for Lamar, it's if I were Lamar, I would go around, shop around now because you're able to do that. Find a team that genuinely wants you. They'll give you any of the money you ask because they genuinely want you. They want to be with you. And, that's what I would do. To me, it doesn't seem like the Ravens want to be with you. It seems like they like you. They love the idea of having a young superstar quarterback. But can they trust you? Can they put everything in you? Can they give you all the money? And to be honest, everyone's like, oh, it's a lot of money he's asking for. Well, to be honest, you don't give money to your receivers. You're not giving them that good running backs that stay healthy and play. You have a Mark Andrews, but that's one tight end. It's like he's a superstar. You're not giving anybody else the money, so you might as well pay him all the money if you're going to expect him to do everything. That's my thought about it. But I don't know.
Maybe it's possible he just wants an unreasonable amount of money and they're unwilling to do it. But it's not even like the actual franchise tag. It's the franchise tag's like, oh yeah, we'll give you the franchise tag, but if someone else wants you, they can have you. It just doesn't sit right with me. There is no reason, Evan, that Derek Carr and Daniel Jones should be signed to long-term contracts this week and Lamar Jackson should not.
Even Geno Smith got paid.
It is incredibly stupid. It is dumb because Lamar is a top 10 quarterback in the league. As a team that has a guy that is a top 10 quarterback, it does not matter what the number that Justin Herbert wants. You're signing the check. If Joe Burrow wants a number, you're signing the check. Patrick Mahomes wants a number, you're signing the check. Russell Wilson wanted a number, they signed the check. If you actually want your top 10 quarterback, which I believe Lamar Jackson to be, you sign the check, and I cannot believe that the Ravens have not done that yet. I don't know if he's just a horrible guy on the backside of things or why nobody has already scooped him up, but I would have already signed him to something if I'm any other team in the league that doesn't have one of the top 5 quarterbacks because I think he's in there that 7-8 range. Ridiculous.
Hit it on the money, Joseph.
Kyler Murray. Evan, Kyler Murray is not as good as Lamar Jackson, and he has a long-term quarterback. It's ridiculous. I just don't understand it. I don't understand it at all.
Looks like me and Joseph are on team get Lamar paid and also get team Lamar somewhere where he deserved.
Where he's going to get a wide receiver that actually can catch a ball.
That is also needed for him if he's going to be at Baltimore. It's very essential. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we talked about a lot of sports today. We talked about basketball, football, golf. We got into it all. College basketball, combine. We talked a lot of sports today. Me and Joseph had a phenomenal connection. We were able to discuss, actually talk. This is what I love. This is amazing. This is the podcast. This is why I do it. This is why you guys listen. We appreciate you guys coming week in, week out. Joseph, please send our people off.
Peace.